Hi there and welcome to this week's edition of Faces of the Jewellery Quarter. I'm here with no less than Nav. How you doing, Nav?
Yeah, good to see you.
And you get no prizes for guessing where we're at. We're at the Floating Spa. You may not have heard it, but the Floating Spa is probably the most interesting business we've been to in the Jewellery Quarter. I am fascinated by it, and I think the first kind of question I've just got to come to Nav for is basically, could you just explain what the whole floating experience is all about?
Okay, so I can be really simple, I can be complicated. Simply, nothing. Sounds weird, doesn't it? But absolutely nothing. You're basically doing nothing at all. You're just lying on water. It sounds really weird and really sort of strange, and why would I do something like that? But it has been very impactful, very profound for a lot of different people, for like a really wide range of reasons as well. You're just lying in water. People have heard of people going to the Dead Sea or the Black Sea, floating in the water. Exactly the same concept, the only difference being in a controlled environment. So a big pod full of water, as hopefully you can see from the logo.
Right.
Within the water you've got over half a ton of Epsom salt dissolved in that water. That is
half a ton?
Half a ton, yeah, a lot. So to give you a bit of context, that's roughly about 5 times the concentration of salt that you'd find anywhere in nature, for example.
Yeah.
So what that does is, with that amount of salt, it creates extreme buoyancy within the water. So with that extreme buoyancy, it allows you to float on top of the water completely weightlessly, free from the sensation of gravity. Because it's a liquid, like a liquid does, it will just curve on every curve and crevice in your body, support you from every single angle, and will allow you to do something that's really, really rare, which is to release every single muscle in your body all at the same time. It's such a rare thing to be able to do. You will almost instantly slip into a really deep state of relaxation. Scientifically, what's actually happening is your brain is changing. You're going from your alpha state, everyday problem solving, listening to me, processing information. Very quickly you shift into what they call a theta state of mind. Theta brainwaves are associated with stuff like meditation, creativity, spirituality, visualization, stuff like lucid dreaming, if you've come across sort of deep states before. Yeah. But as a result of that brainwave shifts, and other things start to happen within your body. First thing that happens, your endorphin levels start to rise, which is your happier healing chemical, but also your cortisol levels start to reduce, which is your opposite, your pain, anxiety, stress chemical. So you can imagine how that makes you feel already, with your happy going up and your unhappy going down. Physically, what's happening is, because you're supported from every single angle, you're taking that pressure off every single muscle, every single joint in your body. You're decompressing your spine, you're promoting blood flow, and you're increasing your muscle repair, your injury recovery, cell regeneration, etc. That's why it's used quite extensively, as we had a conversation before, from a sports science point of view. A lot of athletes through the doors, from a rest and recovery point of view. We've had quite a few high-end athletes through the doors. Australian cricket team, a lot of local football clubs out there in Warsaw. People athletics, triple jumpers, runners, all sorts of different things.
Yeah, I think head of sports science?
Head of sports science, yeah. Head of sports science for Villa. Hopefully working with him soon from a rest and recovery program for the players and for the academy and that sort of thing. So really exciting times in terms of what doing nothing can actually apply for. It's used quite extensively in sports science within North America. So another bit of context of the last 2 Super Bowl winners and Stanley Cup winners, they all have floating as part of their kind of training regime. Right. New Zealand rugby team has actually, when we had ours installed, interestingly, there was 12 flotation pods going to the New Zealand Sports Science Centre in Auckland. Straight after we had ours installed, so it gives you a bit of an idea of how extensively it's used from a sports science point of view.
From a sports science, so do the sports scientists only put their players in for a physical point of view, or do they also sort of know there's a good side effect in terms of the mental?
It's a combination of the two. So in an example, so we had one of the Australian cricketers who comes in. He came in 2 days before a game from a physical point of view, because he wanted to recover his muscles from a hard training session. And he actually came in the very night before the game. He was playing in England a few months back now. Night before the game, and actually asked him, I said, well, you came yesterday, is today a similar sort of thing you're looking to achieve? And he said, no, actually. He said, yesterday was a physical thing. He said, today for me, it's more visualization. So he actually went into the pod and get into that meditative state and wanted to visualize the shots that he was going to play in certain situations. It really helped him to kind of stay calm on the field and without in the middle. So yeah, it's from a physical and a mental point of view. The guy from Villa who we're working with, he's trying to get, he's building up the wellness program for the Villa players. And again, it's from a rest and recovery point of view. You have to remember as well, your physical manifestations are representatives of your mental state, I believe, as well. And floating kind of it proves that as well. When you do affect your mental state, that actually affects your physical state as well. So Can be from both sides. The interesting part of it as well is you can actually take it further. So people do come in from an aided meditation point of view. So even though it sounds kind of strange, you can turn the lights off, close the lid, and go for what we call full isolation. So you're completely isolated from the outside world. But on top of that, the water's heat to your body temperature. So even though it sounds kind of strange, like I mentioned, is once you are settled and comfortable, you will genuinely get to a point where you'll start to lose a sensation of where the skin starts and the water begins. It all starts to merge together. And if you do turn the lights off, close the lid, you can go for what we call full isolation, like I mentioned. You can genuinely get to a point you'll start to completely lose sensation of your whole exterior body. And it's literally like your mind is floating around in you there. I know I sound really crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know you're saying this, but you did take us into the room, and we weren't even floating. But you turned off all the lights, and it is pitch black, and we weren't even in the pod.
Yeah.
And you had the music and all the rest of it, and we were just sort of standing there, and even just standing there in the pitch black, you did feel yourself sort of rocking backwards and forwards, and you know your body is literally trying to sort of float away. But I can imagine if you're in the water, then
you take that physical reference points off as well.
Yeah.
I said to you earlier on, I think the best way to sort of give you an overview is, and not coming across too hippie, you are essentially allowing yourself to stop fighting all of this around you, because your body and mind is constantly fighting its external environment all the time. If you allow yourself to remove that external distraction and allow yourself to look and focus more here internally, rather than being constantly distracted by all this external forces.
I mean, I have tried meditation in the past. I'm absolutely useless at it. For various different reasons. They tell you to sit in a certain way and all this kind of stuff, and the whole fact that I'm sitting in an uncomfortable position is just doesn't make me relax and allow my mind to go. So I'm definitely going to give this a go. Hopefully I won't drown or anything. Well, I won't drown because there's half a ton of salt in there. So
it's a really good question. A lot of people asking that question. It's impossible for you to drown. You're completely safe. The reason you can't drown, the extreme buoyancy of the water means you push yourself in, you will just bounce off again. Even if you were to hold yourself in the water, which is pretty much impossible, even if you're able to do that, the water itself, only, as you've seen yourself, it's only 10 inches deep. It's actually very shallow. It's not deep enough for you to drown in any way. You are completely safe. There is nothing for you to worry about. Another thing on top of that as well is a lot of people feel the urge to fall asleep while they're in the pod. Completely fine. It's all about listening to your body. If you do fall asleep in there, because you're supported from every angle, you're not going to drown like we just talked about. But if you do fall asleep in there, and I'll admit to everyone here, I'm a little bit addicted to sleeping in there. And the reason being is because you're supported from every single angle, because you've released all your muscles, you will slip into what they call REM sleep very quickly. People come across REM sleep before, rapid eye movement sleep, very deep level dream state. Not only will you slip into REM sleep very quickly within the pod, but you'll also maintain it for a much longer period of time. To such a degree, an hour sleep in the pod, roughly equivalent to 3 to 4 hours sleep in any sort of normal environment. So it's actually very, very nice. I would not fight it. It's quite acceptable for insomnia as well.
I was going to say there must be huge benefits for a load of different people. So obviously you've got actual, elite athletes coming here using it, sports scientists at, Premiership clubs, cricket teams, and all the rest of it. But everybody sort of, you're based in the Jewellery Quarter, obviously surrounded by all sorts of various different businesses. They can come here either because they've got sleeping problems, either to de-stress, or any other kind of reasons or ailments that you think people have.
There's some real common ones that most commonly people utilise it for, but what I always say is it can be used by anyone and everyone for anything and everything. We've had everyone from young kids, from I think the youngest we had is 5 years old with help from their parents, all the way through to elderly for aches and pains, through the middle through like sports science like we're talking about. A few of the common things used for, like I mentioned, aided meditation, used for insomnia, used for skin condition as well. So the actual another thing I didn't mention is that the salt in the water is actually magnesium sulfate, or Epsom salt. Really important mineral for the body, magnesium. You're absorbing all that magnesium through your skin throughout the whole session. Good example of what it's actually doing to you is, when you get wrinkled or crumpled skin in a shower bath too long, it doesn't happen in the pod. You could be I've tested myself, don't worry. You could be in the all week, it still won't happen. The reason it doesn't happen is quite counterintuitive. The reason it doesn't happen is because the salt or the magnesium is constantly rehydrating your skin throughout the whole session. What actually happens is when you step out, is most people will say that the skin feels a lot softer and smoother when they first go in, because the salt or the magnesium is not just rehydrating, but it's replenishing, rejuvenating, cleansing the skin all at the same time.
And if people are wondering whether or not, you know, you come here and you're covered in salt and you have to go back to work, I mean, you have done a lot of work to this place. I mean, you took over the building 3 years ago.
That's right. Yeah.
You only opened about a year and a half ago. Because we're actually sat in what used to be the garage.
Car park garage, yeah, basically
yeah.
like the courtyard.
So it's all enclosed now. It's really cool in here. Obviously, it's sort of, you know, you can't see the rest of it, but we've got a hammock, sofa, chairs. We've even got a blackboard over there, which is a rather creative kind of testimonial board for all the people here. It's absolutely jam packed. I think you have to put
more boards to put up. Yeah.
Got more boards to put up. So the amount of effort you put into this is pretty impressive. Obviously, you've got the showers and all the additional stuff going on. In terms of additional stuff, like services, you also do yoga here with massage.
So like I mentioned before, I'm trying to create, I think floating is the focus of it, but we're trying to create, I don't know what we'd call it, but something along the lines of a little bit of a well-being, wellness centre in a sense. Like I said, floating is the focus of it, lots of complementary services around that. At the moment we do have an in-house massage service. She offers a deep tissue, Swedish body, reflexology and Reiki as well. Some people like to combine the two. Some like have massage before a float, or a float and then a massage, something like that. We did previously had a physiotherapist on site as well, but we are looking to get some acupuncture services and also cupping services. People come across that before. And we do also, where we're sitting right now, like you mentioned, in what used to be the car park, we do actually do yoga and Tai Chi here now as well, on a Monday and a Tuesday evening. Again, I think complementary services to what, like I mentioned, the kind of wellness, wellbeing centre. I say to probably message to everyone out there, I say to everyone who comes in for the first time, if you've got some ideas, want to collaborate, we've done a few interesting events in here already actually. Always up to new ideas, always want to work with people, always want to make connections, always have conversations, always looking for new things.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's really interesting, fascinating place. People should obviously pop down and try it out. If people want to come down, obviously they can just book it for an hour, 90 minutes, something like that. Yeah. As a one-off, just try it. Yeah. Then also, you're thinking about maybe you can do block bookings, I believe, and then possibly in future you might be doing sort of memberships and people can get involved in all the various other different services that they have here.
Yeah. So we do, just give you an idea, so we do, most people, first time, like to want to try it once and see how they react. It is a very individual thing. No one can predict how you're going to react to it. Everyone's very personal. You're just lying in water, so everything you feel is coming from right here. It's all based on you. So I say to everyone, I think the first time I always like to give 20% off your first float. So normal price for a float is 55, but I always look at myself, which brings the price down for the first time to 44. It's a bit cheaper for you to go and try it. We do the package like you mentioned, so you can buy a block multiple floats at a time, which is cheaper for you. We do also have, like I mentioned, a lot of people do like to float regularly from a medical point of view. One bit, like I did mention that it's used for like medical conditions, mentally and physically. People want to float quite regularly. We do have membership packages coming up soon, so people can make it a bit cheaper for them that way. In terms of the other services, we do also actually, one of the services I didn't mention is we do now sell CBD oil. If people have come across CBD oil before.
What's that all about?
CBD oil is whole plant cannabis extract.
Okay.
So people might have heard about it through the internet and other different news channels being utilised for medical purposes.
Yeah.
Cannabis plant. As we all know, it's not illegal in this country, but we do have something called CBD1, which is a whole cannabis extract plant, which has got no THC in it, but has high levels of CBD, which is the actual healing property. We've had some really good feedback from it.
Oh, really?
They're all being used for, again, for all sorts of different things. Arthritis relief, pain relief, used for anxiety, depression, all sorts of different things.
Wow.
So again, we're just looking at different holistic, natural ways to increase your physical and mental well-being.
And if they want to pop down, is it any time of day? Because I know you get some late evening appointments, is that right?
So we try to be as flexible as possible. So when we first opened as well, we wanted to give people as much opportunity to float as much as they could. So we started off opening 7 days a week, and we take bookings anytime from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. I did think, maybe we could develop it going forward and we can maybe close one day. But to be fair, we get really busy. So 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. really works. Like I mentioned to you before, we have a few late night people coming in, and we'll be here to quite late night. Always open to suggestions. People want to float early morning. We've done a few early mornings, start 6 in the morning before work and that sort of thing. Always flexible. Generally speaking, open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can book it on the website if you want to. You can call us directly. You can drop us an email, info@floatingspa.com. And actually, you can book online if you want to. Just have a conversation. If you've got any questions, if you want to do a late night float, if you want to do multiple hour floats, some people like to do. We've got 2 pods on site as well, so people can float at the same time.
If people wanted to book into, say, the yoga, and if they just wanted to sort of maybe pop in, experience the place first, and then maybe do the yoga first, and then think right, and then have a look at the pods, and then I'm going to look book on the pods. I'm probably the same. I've known
You want
now,
to see them, yeah.
You've been around for a while, but I haven't really kind of got my head around what this pod is all about. But now I've seen it, I definitely want to give it a go. And if people came down and tried the yoga first and then had a little bit of a look, then you might be brave enough to try the pods as well. So I really strongly recommend everybody comes down to the floating spa, sees Nav and all the things that are going on here. Nav, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thanks for inviting
really
us.
it.
And please check out all the web address and all the social media on the screen now and see these guys. So thanks very much. We'll see you again.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.